Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Brendan and welcome back to another Bitcoin technical analysis and price prediction. And today we need to take a deep look and understand what Bitcoin is doing at this price level, because for the first time in a while, I'm starting to see some warning signs pop up on Bitcoin that the bears could be wanting to come in here and actually take over for a short-term dump. Now, if you're bull, don't worry, I'm a bull too, but I do think that there are some pretty clear warning signs on Bitcoin at this price level that need to be addressed. Now, in order to better understand what's happening with Bitcoin, we have to break this down on both a 4-hour and a 1-day time scale, because there's a lot happening in both the micro and the macro. But one of the suggestions that I received was to add the 100 EMA to both the 4-hour chart and the 1-day chart to see where Bitcoin's support levels were, because previously we were just talking about how it was consistently breaking below the 50 EMA, which is this yellow line, but it was actually just falling to the 100 EMA this entire time. So I do appreciate my members in Discord who pointed this out to me, because I think that this is a really good point. Now, as we saw, after Bitcoin broke the 50 EMA on this 4-hour time scale, it fell to the 100 EMA not once, not twice, but actually 3 times prior to this. So now as we're falling to it again, I do think that this is going to be kind of a crucial support level, because for the first time in a while, this could break. Now, keyword is could, because it hasn't actually yet, but we are coming awfully close. We have seen piercing candles before, so it wouldn't be too crazy to see something like that again. But up until this point, the bulls have looked really strong. But as Bitcoin enters into one of these final support levels before the 200 EMA, this is a little bit of a warning sign to me, because if Bitcoin breaks here, I could easily see it falling another 6.5–7% to the downside. I would say probably ranging it from a 5 to 7% drop, which isn't huge, but it's still enough to be somewhat concerned about. Especially if you're trading. I guess not so much as if you're investing, because then you're probably just going to buy the dip regardless. But with Bitcoin reaching this area, of course, it is breaking yesterday's low, which is not too concerning. I mean, that happens all the time. But if it does break this 100 EMA on this 4-hour time scale, and potentially even the previous micro swing low over here, that would be a little bit more concerning to me, as then we would now have lower swing highs and lower swing lows. Although one could just say that this whole thing is a bull flag, because it's very possible and there's an argument for that. But I want to go ahead and switch this over to the 1-day now, so that we can just see this a little bit more on a macro time scale to better understand what it's doing. Now, I do have this support line drawn over here, which is this white line, and kind of having a hard time seeing it, but this is kind of just a relative level of support. This thing, obviously Bitcoin is pointing in this trend, and this is kind of the point of the support line, is to show the trend that Bitcoin is moving in, a relative area of support. Some people like to draw it here, other people like to kind of connect it here and kind of re-angle this. Again, I think that this both makes sense. I think the idea here is that this is a relative area of support, and Bitcoin needs to hold above 46.3, 46.4, which is going to be this previous bottom right in here, and this is the area that it really needs to hold above. Most certainly, it needs to hold above 44. So main areas of support are going to be right here at around 46.5, just below that, and then around 44.2, 44.3. Now, above this, if Bitcoin wants to move up to the upside, obviously there's a lot of upside potential here. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I think that if Bitcoin wants to break this previous high, I don't see any reason that it can't go up to like 54 to 55,000, which from our current state would be around 15%. So I do like how this is looking. Potential downside of around 5 to 7%, and again, in my opinion. And if we do fall any lower than this previous mark, we do have the 4-hour EMAs, but we also have the 50 EMA, which hasn't been tested in some time on Bitcoin, really, honestly, since it's reversed. So, and when I say it's reversed, I mean from this most recent bottom, after it crossed back above this 50 EMA, which is the yellow line, it hasn't touched it since then. So we came up, we touched it, and then we continued. Now, in my previous videos, I talked about it's only a matter of time until Bitcoin touches these 50 EMAs again, or any of the EMAs. It's bound to happen, and it's not always a bad thing. It's just part of the natural flow of things. Things go up, they go down, and it's not something that I see as too much of a concern. That being said, I know people still don't want to see it drop, but this is a little bit of a scary area, as there is the potential to see some downside in Bitcoin. Maybe at the most, I see support levels around 7%, 8.5%, and we have some more around 14 to 15% to the downside. Don't really see it falling any more than that. I would be pretty shocked if it did. But that's what I see happening in a worst case scenario for Bitcoin. Again, potential to the upside equally as much, 14, 15% easily to the upside in my opinion, and potential for a whole lot more. So time will tell. Looking at the MACD and the RSI, MACD really not saying too much. If anything, that's probably more of a case for the bulls at this point. RSI I do see as a little bit scary. Again, people might hate on the way that I read this, but I do see multiple lower swing highs right in here, which is a little bit concerning. It's already seeing some support at a neutral territory, but if this does break, there's still room for it to set a ultimate higher swing low on this relative strength index, and that would probably be somewhere around like 40. Maybe just, I would say give or take a little bit around 40. See it coming back down into this area, rebounding, and then shooting back upwards. But, this does concern me, is that it is kind of just looking like from both the candle chart and the RSI one day, as it's just hanging on by a thread. Volume is dropping, which makes me a little bit concerned, but ultimately the trend is your friend. The macros here are still very bullish in my opinion. I want to be careful about how I say this. The macros are looking bullish. There's just a little bit of micros that are a tad bit concerning to me, just for the time being. So we will see obviously some good resistance as we predicted around $50,000. Again, we've talked about this for weeks, about $50,000 being an area of significant resistance. This has come to no surprise. So that's going to wrap it up for this video. If you did enjoy, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, as we have a lot more content like this coming out in the not so distant future. Let me know your comments in the comment section down below. And until then, I will see you all very, very soon.